Hi, I'm Eileen Roche from Designs and Machine Embroidery, and I'm so excited to be here today. I have a fabulous guest. I have Mike Johns of Mama Boy Designs, who's joining me in just a few moments. And if you've never seen his samples, you are going to be really inspired. He's a master of color, of value, of sparkle and shine, too. What do you see? When you take a look at his designs, they always draw you in a little closer, and you'll understand why I'm so excited after you meet him in just a few moments. But first, we're going to take a look at the doors that are out there. Some people have been working busily away, making their June door, and I already have July's done. So July happens to be my favorite month of the year, so I'm super excited to do that one. Hi, Misha, and hello, Susan. Oh, it's great to have everybody here. Really great to have everybody here. What a week, huh? It's been that we've had here in America. So super great. Oh, Elaine Shaw, you know Mike. Well, good for you. You're going to be in for a treat too. Wait till you hear what he has to share with us today. So just in the comments, let me know what you're stitching. You know, what have you been working on? Some of you are working on the doors. I know that. And others, you have all kinds of projects, and it's just always encouraging to hear what other people are working on, so that we kind of stay in tune, know what we are, what everybody's up to. And welcome Trisha Cox from Sewing and Vac Warehouse in Houston, Texas. She's a neighbor, right? I'm in Dallas. Well, that's considered neighbors here in Texas. It's a big state. So let's see. Hi, Vonnie. Oh, thanks for joining us in Lubbock. It's really great to have everybody here. So my special guest is Mike Johns, like I said earlier. So let's go ahead and bring Mike up. Welcome, Mike. It's great to have you here.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
What have you been up to?
So I think like most of us, I've been trying to keep myself busy while I'm at home. And so kind of just playing a lot with samples and making new samples for when I get back out on the road, so that I have new stuff to show people. And also just doing a lot of kind of training and education videos inside of our Facebook group and things like that. So I think kind of doing what everybody else has been doing for the most part.
Great. Well, like Sue Cleek, she's been working on a birthday quilt for one of her daughters. And then let's see, Retha Ranke said no embroidery for her. She's sewing for a local county fair in Wyoming. Well,
That's awesome.
You know, I think I heard yesterday up in Wyoming, or maybe it was Montana, they got a foot of snow. Heaven help us, right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Not here. It's like, 90 degrees outside right now.
Right. Let's see. And then here we have Addie. She said she just saw you about an hour ago.
Yeah.
in your Facebook group, which we'll talk about in a little bit. There's so many people, though. Susan says she's new to your design, so she can't wait to see what you have in store. That's great. He's, Mike is a baby lock educator, but he's also the owner of Mama Boy Designs. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you started Mama Boy Designs?
Sure. So Mama's Boy Design came about 5 years ago. I actually left corporate world and started being an educator. And I traveled around the country just kind of teaching and sharing my love of everything creative and everything, sewing and embroidery and quilting and what have you. And as most of us do whenever we get into this, we kind of have to create a brand for ourselves. And Mama's Boy came about as a result of that. And it actually started because my mom, who happens to be my next door neighbor, is also the only person that works with me inside of Mama's Boy is my mom. So it was kind of the name is kind of an homage to her, and just kind of, bringing her as part of me. And everywhere I go now, I get to say that I have, my mom with me as part of Mama's Boy. So
that's a privilege for sure. And to live right next door to her, both of my parents have passed, and, you miss them every single day, I can tell you. So I know you treasure the time you have with you.
I do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I consider myself very blessed with that one for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But you're also a veteran, right? 10 years in the Navy.
Yeah. I was actually, went in as enlisted. I was a nuclear engineer whenever I first went in, and did that for a few years, and then got fortunate enough to be picked up to be an officer, and was in the supply corps until the time I actually got out on a medical discharge and everything. So very proud of my time of doing that, and look back at it with just great memories. It was really an amazing time in my life for sure.
I'll bet. And thank you for your service.
Oh,
But
thank
you
you.
know, many people join the Navy to see the world, right? Did you get to do that?
I did. Yeah, I actually did. I've been very fortunate. I got to go pretty much all over the place, and I lived overseas for a while. I got to live in Iceland for a couple of years, and
Oh, interesting.
yeah, it was wonderful. And that lived up in DC for a while, and I went to
Oh,
right now I'm in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, and I got to do my OCS school here in Pensacola, so that was kind of cool.
oh, right. Sure. That's just right around the corner from you.
Yeah,
Well, you have a
absolutely.
fellow, Retha Ranke. She loves the name. Is her 42-year-old son is a self-acclaimed mama's boy. That's
Hey,
awesome.
there's nothing like a mama's boy, right?
Nothing like a mama's boy, you know. And when you have a son, he may not consider himself a mama's boy, but when you're the mom, he's your boy, right? Forever.
Exactly.
Let's see. Ginny said she's making baby quilts for her new grandchild. So people are really, really
Congratulations,
working
Jenny.
long.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Elaine Shaw, you just received your Sally Tomato hardware. Great. That was a lot of fun. I did a blog tour with Sally Tomato. She introduced, right? That's the company. Introduced a new faux leather a couple weeks ago. And I don't know if you've seen out on the web.
Yeah.
Yeah, great
Yeah.
bags. My humble little contribution, black and tan, very basic. But wow, there were some real showstoppers for sure. I love that.
Sally Tomatoes stuff is great. I love everything that Sally Tomatoes does. For sure.
Oh yeah, she does beautiful work. Absolutely, great patterns, very easy to understand, and so forth. But anyway,
hi Mickey.
Oh, you know Mickey? Oh, that's great. We do think Mike is great for sure.
Mickey's one of the people that's in my talk with Mickey quite often.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And then let's see. We have Gail Bruton. She's loving her Luminaire that she just got for Mother's Day. Woo woo. Well, you'll learn a lot
Gail.
from Mike Johns, right?
Oh, I know Gail. I know Gail very well.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you probably sold her that machine, didn't you?
No, I didn't sell it to her, but I know Gail pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah, do you? Good. Okay. Well, why don't we take a look at the dime doors? You know, Mike, I know you're aware of that monthly free design that I provide to everybody here on Facebook. And go ahead. We'll bring that up. You can see what people have been doing. So first off, look at these handsome photos of Mike. I just couldn't resist sharing them. I think they both look great. So we should get a vote here. Do we like Mike with the beard or without the beard, right? This is your chance to tell him.
Well, you know what that is. Am I lazy that morning or am I not lazy that morning? That's what that is.
Is that right? Oh, I don't know. I don't know which one I like. They're charming, both of them. Absolutely. Okay, so remember, we started in January, and there we have January, February, March, and April. You can still download these. They're going to be up there all year. So, jump on. If you haven't started yet, you're not too far behind. And then we had May was the hospital, and then June was what I would consider a church door. Many people have made it into just kind of an older building. You'll see. We'll take a look at what other people are doing. Yeah, I did two versions. I couldn't decide whether I liked the darker, stone fabric or the light. So it was easy to just pop out another one. But Anne McCarthy, she's one of our dime educators, and she did the one on the left. She's of Irish heritage, and she added the Scotty dog, which I believe is from my Lace Charm collection, which was super sweet. But she took the time to go into her software and change the color of all those roses on the trellis. So I think that's really clever. And then she added some beautiful filigree work and made the doors, symmetrical. Instead of being one large door, there was two that would open in the center. So very nice. And then Joan Fyan, she loves yellow roses, I guess. I do too. I used to have, this is, too much information, but an old boyfriend who always sent me yellow roses. So they always remind me of him. Anyway, and then on the left was Sandy Akuri. She added a little man. Now, there's probably a story to that, Mike. Do you think he's a baker, a cobbler? What do you think he is? The travel gnome?
Looks like an elf.
Kind of like an elf. Yeah, like the Keebler elf, right? Super fun. And then Tracy, beautiful job on her roses. She added some light sconces to the upper area of the building, and then a beautiful Celtic window for sure. Beautiful. And next up, we have Christina Cunningham Alford. She also changed the color of her roses. Now you can either do that in software, or you could stay at the machine and stop it as it travels from one flower to the other. Now take a look at So Retired. She did a completely kind of different approach. So on the next image, here on this image, you'll see I zoomed in that she did not stitch the flowers that were included in the design. She eliminated them and then I guess glued on or maybe tacked on those 3D ribbon roses. Really pretty. And then she added a heart charm to the door with a little bit of a bridal veil. Isn't that nice? I love 3D work. Don't you, Mike?
I do too. 3D stuff is, I think, takes something that's just two-dimensional and just really pops it and makes it so unique and so different, right?
Yes, absolutely. Well, we are getting a little feedback. Like Deborah McKinney, she says she likes both mics with and without. There you go.
Well, thank you, Deborah.
Yeah,
I know Deborah too.
Elizabeth Ellis, she likes it without. Let's see if we have any more comment. Oh, Roy Gardlin. Well, he's a dear friend of mine, and he says beards rule because his is down to about his knees.
I was about to say, I think he's a little bit biased if I see in the picture. He's
definitely a little biased. Let's see. Denise Willard says without. Why, Dory Shadera says with. So, well, eventually you can take your time to go through these comments, Mike, and count them up to see what everybody says. But Deborah Morgan, she said that So Retired is very clever. Absolutely. I love how people, just put their own stamp on these. Everybody's is different. Just by picking the fabric, you most certainly make it your own. But going this extra step is really very cool, too. So, and then over here on Joan Seidel, she added a date, which I guess maybe is her wedding anniversary or the day she was married. I'm guessing that could be anything, but, very significant date to her. And then Rose Gully, beautiful red door and darker fabric and pink roses, very attractive. Oh, and here we are, Mike. This is where we really connected, I think.
It is.
This is Sewing with Nancy. This is Nancy's Sewing Weekend in 2018.
Yep.
So prior to that, you and I had met several times on the road. But, this weekend when we used to do a Nancy Sewing Weekend, you're there for 4 days and you share a lot of meals together. You do a lot of long hours of work together, right?
It was, yeah. But how much fun was that? That was just absolutely, that group of people that's right there, we had such a good time and it's such good memories. And, I have to admit, I miss our sewing weekend times, but, it's so nice to have that as something to look back on and just, I learned so much, even just working with your peers is just so much fun and so amazing. And you get to have such a good time. And, and you just look at the broad scope that's represented right there in that one picture is.
We have Eleanor Burns, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
She's known all over the world, taught millions of people how to embroider.
Yeah.
And then Mary Malari, who was Nancy Zeman's dearest friend and a good friend of mine, Mary Malari from Minnesota. Mary Malari's talent is taking a simple design and making it very achievable, and she just puts her own kind of Minnesota touch on it. It's always been very impressive to see her work.
The very first thing I ever saw Mary do was whenever she started her series of repurposing and redoing sweatshirts. She did that whole series where she took just something that everybody has in their closet, and she just made them so unique and so different and all. So,
She absolutely did. Right. Yeah. Just awesome. And then the next woman is Pamela Leggett, who is from Connecticut. Now, Pamela and I go back all the way to 1995. It's ridiculous.
And you were what, 12, right? Is that about
right?
Well,
let me tell you, she is definitely timeless, ageless. That woman never ages. She looks exactly today as she did 25 years ago.
Yeah.
But so talented. So she is a Patty Palmer fit instructor, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
That whole system. And she lives in Connecticut. She's extremely talented. Then there's you're tall, and then me, and then Sarah Gallegos, and she is Baby Locks Education Manager. Is that her title?
She is, and she's also, she also has her own brand, so Positively Sarah, which of course is her. And then of course a lot of people know her from the fact that she does Fonz and Porter's Quilt in a Day now. So I mean,
Right.
not Quilt in a Day, Fonz and Porter Love of Quilting. Sorry, but yeah, so a lot of people know her from that.
Yeah. And then Joy Mahan.
How can you not know Joy?
How can you
Joy's,
not know Joy?
she lives up to her name, doesn't she? She's just absolutely
Yeah.
joyful.
I know. I was going to say her parents really named her appropriately. She
They
is
did.
a pleasant, really a very wonderful woman and talented.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very talented. Very
Just
talented.
beautiful, fashion design. So
Yes.
yeah,
absolutely.
that was a really fun weekend, really unique. We had a great time. It was, 6 months after Nancy passed. And for me, it was a very emotional weekend.
Yeah.
So having that group of other talented people around, that close-knit group really kind of helped us all get through the weekend for sure.
It did. Yeah.
And it was the last one. So we didn't know it at the time, but we were very blessed. Very blessed.
We were.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and here, this would be you and Deborah Jones, right? At Baby Lock Tech, grabbing a photo, I think, at Baby Lock Tech. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But you do a lot of video work, right? And most certainly you would do it for your Facebook group, but also for other brands.
I do. So I do a host of things, and I try, one of the things that I love is I just love sharing what I've learned with someone else, and I think really and truly we learn from each other so much in our industry that it's just one of those things that how can you not want to share what you know with somebody else, So I try to do as much video type stuff and filming stuff and all that I can. I'd love to do more. And I'd like to say that while I was at home, I got a lot more done, but I'll be honest and say that I didn't. But we try to keep up, and we do a lot of stuff in our group and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I love it, doing my education, and I love being on the road. I love seeing people in person and teaching in person, and that's a really clean picture of myself. It doesn't look like that most of the time.
That's okay. I understand all about that staging. Like, for instance, I was so impressed with this photo because your quilts match what's in the hoop. Very lovely. Very lovely.
Well, I have to give credit. So those are all my mom's quilts. She's kind of the one who, she's a big quilter. She loves to do quilting stuff, and every one of those are hanging on the wall are ones that she actually did. And we keep her quilts. Every time you see me film, you'll see there's always quilts behind me, and I would say 90% of the time they're all mom's quilts. I very rarely have one of my quilts up there. They're usually hers.
Oh, how about that? That's awesome. Let's see. Well, Margaret says, what's his website and Facebook page? So, Margaret, I just want you to see at the bottom of the screen, we say Mike John's mamasboydesign.com. You'll find him there. And on Facebook, just Mama's Boy Design, right?
Right. Yeah, if you just go to the website, mamasboydesign.com, it has links to my Instagram, my Facebook, all of that kind of stuff. And then we do have a private group on Facebook, and everybody's welcome to join it. If you go to the Facebook link on the website, it'll take you to our business page. And then from our business page, you'll just see visit group. You click on visit group, it'll ask you some questions. Make sure you answer the questions, and we'll put you in the group, and love to have you with us for sure.
Great. Okay, so here's a beautiful example of lovely monograms that you made. I think this was a giveaway at an earlier time, right?
It was, yeah. So this was way back when I was just getting started teaching, and also we decided to do some publicity type things and kind of beef up some, get some people on our site and all. And so this was a giveaway, and we did it to where we did an entry type thing, and everybody who entered got a chance to win, and the winner we monogrammed bags with their monograms on them and sent them to them. So it was a lot of fun to do. Yeah.
Very nice. So Reen Wilcoxon, I'm sure you know Reen from Embroidery Garden.
She's love Reen.
Yeah, and she loves your videos. Very helpful. Boy, we all do. We all learn from one another for sure.
We do.
For sure.
We do. Yeah. Reen is amazing. I've learned a lot from Reen over the years for sure.
Have you?
Yeah, absolutely. Reen's amazing.
Yes, she is. Master digitizer of
in
the hoop. Boy.
Yeah.
Very clever girl, as they say in the digitizing world.
Yes, very much so.
They have no idea actually how clever that really is, because in the hoop is way more complicated than fill stitches and satins. Even though
I actually give Reen credit. Reen's the one who kind of got me intrigued by in the hoop, because when I first started, I didn't know what in the hoop was. It was one of those things that was like this, it's that mystery everybody talks about and you never really know what it is. And then
Yes.
luckily I met Reen in person. We've worked a couple of the Houston quilt festivals together, and she's just always been a joy, and she kind of inspired me. And then I start down, and now I'm addicted to In the Hoop too. So I give a lot of credit to Reen on that one for sure.
Great. Yeah, Reen is very friendly, very open, always sharing with everyone.
Very
Great.
much.
She's just wonderful in our industry. So look at this pretty quilt that's in your hoop. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so one of the things I love to do is, I kind of laugh. I love to quilt, but I'm not a quilter, if that makes any sense. I'm not, you're never going to see one of my quilts hanging up at Houston. You're never going to see me winning any kind of awards for quilts, but I love doing it, and I love kind of being creative with it. And back when this photo was made, I actually, this was on my Destiny. This is actually the Baby Light Destiny that it's pictured on, and that was the machine that I had. We didn't have any other machines in our arsenal, and now that's changed, of course. So I've got more machines in our shop than I can care to count, but I didn't have a long arm or even a mid arm at that time. So to do quilting, I had to come up with ways to use what I had available to me. So this is using some of the built-in decorative fill stitches that are available on the Baby Lock and Brother machines as part of IQ Designer, my design center, and just using that to actually quilt my quilt, so to speak. And I love this technique. It's just a lot of fun, and you can really create some, if you look really close, you can see I've got different fills in different areas, and I just love.
Yes, I noticed that. Kind of have the circles out there on the border, and then you have a diamond grid in the center. Really, very well done.
Thank you.
Ashley Jones, she loves do you know Ashley Jones? Have you met her yet?
Yeah, I know Ashley.
Yeah, good. Well, she loves the fabrics. You do have a great eye for color and value. And I just have to give a little shout out to my sister Marie. She says hi, me and Mike. And
hi, Marie.
Yeah, she's kind of your neighbor now, not really, but she's in South Florida, and she's going to join me here on Facebook on July 2nd. So that'll be awesome. Yeah, it'll be fun to have her here. So look at this beautiful sample that you created.
Yeah, so this was actually, one of the things I'm a big component for is using the designs that come with the machines, right? I love purchasing designs, I love buying designs, but we also don't realize that we spend all this money on these wonderful, wonderful machines, and the machines have a ton of designs in them, right? And a lot of people, I think, just kind of glance past those designs and never use them. And this whole series of designs that's in this table runner were actually designs that were built into the Destiny. And, don't get me wrong, I buy designs, I hoard designs just like everybody else does, right? But,
sure.
I wish that I had all my, my lace maker designs and all that kind of stuff to show. But I'm a big component of encouraging people to also look and not only just use the designs that are in the machines, but combine those designs with the designs that you purchase. A lot of the ladies with the door, right? The door table toppers, they added stuff to them, and I love that. I love the idea of kind of blending different sources of material from different places. So
yeah, and I think the designs that are built into our machine, Mike, I think often, when it comes up on the screen, we're like, maybe the color is not intriguing to us, so we kind of blow by it and forget about it. But boy, when you spend the moment to select the colors of your liking, and of course you can do that right at the machine today.
Of course, yeah. Audition them right there.
Yeah, so you can see that. I'm a software person, so I love to do that in my software on my laptop. But
I do too.
Have a lot of those same features right at your fingertips, at the machine. Oh, this is a beauty. So tell me a little bit about this.
So this is, I do a lot of what I call accidental quilts. So they're like never started out as a quilt. They just started out just sitting down and playing. And this actually is, I had as a lot of people do, I had the AccuQuilt. And the AccuQuilt is just a wonderful tool to add to your arsenal. And one of the things that they have is they have this little bird. And I don't know, I saw this bird and I thought, well, I want to do this really cool thing with it. And there's an artist that I actually really like. Her name's Lisa Lala, and she's out of the Midwest, and she does a lot of these things called birds on a wire. And this was kind of inspired a little bit by that. And it's actually nothing more than a jelly roll quilt. So I basically took 2 jelly rolls that were all shades of gray, and I stripped them together. And some of the strips I used at their full size, some I cut into smaller strips. And then once I got the entire quilt top done, I literally took a ruler and a rotary blade and slashed through the entire quilt, and then set in those what I call kind of wires that the birds are sitting on. And then of course the birds are just appliques. So it's just a really fun little quilt to do. And it's, you know, it's not huge. It's like a lap quilt. So it went together in, I think, about a day. Is all
beautiful.
it took to get done.
Just beautiful. So you literally slashed through the quilt to get those diagonal lines. They're not like applique on it.
No, they're actually pieced in. Yeah, I just literally took a ruler and a rotary cutter and just cut right through it.
Brave man. I think I would have done a little applique myself. But, oh well. Okay, let's see. Let's see what's next. Oh, and here's patriotic, right? You can't go wrong with that. Celebrating the 4th of July, right?
Yeah. So this is a design. A lot of so when I teach classes all across the country, I digitize my own designs. I actually usually teach with my own designs and things that I've digitized. And this was an In the Hoop project that I created for a retailer class that I was doing right around the 4th of July. And this was all done in the hoop. So the entire thing is done in one hooping, and just a little cute little table topper. And it uses, you know, some of that glitter vinyl that's so popular, and, you know, just doing some really kind of, the fun thing there was figuring out how to digitize the piano keys that went around the edge. So that's all done in the hoop as flip and fold. So
wow, that's a lot of tiny little piecing.
It is, yeah, but it's a lot of fun. You know, I mean, that fits. I think when that was said and done, it was done in I think I digitized it to fit in the 8x12 hoop.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, you often can find blue and red striped fabric, but when you're home without blue and red striped fabric, right? That's what you do.
I always laugh. I do this for a living, but my closest fabric shop is 3.5 hours away. Wow. So yeah, a lot of times I'm literally in my studio, and what I have is what I have. You make do with what's there, for sure.
Right. You really learn to improvise. Well, Jan loves the rocket fuel, which is so timely right now with our, astronauts that blasted off a week ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Arnell says, is it a table topper or do you hang it?
It's actually a table topper. It fits in the same little door hanger frames, kind of like what the door table toppers fit into. So yeah, you could definitely hang it as a wall hanging if you wanted, for sure. But it was actually designed as a table topper.
And then a couple people want to know, is it available for purchase? So probably not, right?
That's incredibly flattering. How about this? It will be. It's not yet. It will be. I'm working on that.
I love that. And it sure is beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Okay. And I just have to answer this one question here. Oh, well, Sandy, we just answered that. But Susan, another request to develop the 260 by 360. The 200 by 360 is in development right now and will be here very soon. So no plans at this time for the 260 by 360. We'll see how the other one does, right? Let's see. Okay, so we wanted to take a look at your samples because I know you are a huge fan of the metallic thread that we sell here, which is King Star Metallic.
I am. I think if you talk to anybody that has been around me for longer than 2 minutes, they've heard me mention King Star at some point or time, because, I am I love metallic threads. I love specialty threads. And one of the things that I always hear people say is, I love it, but I don't want to use it because it's too much of a pain to use, right? And so I think I have literally purchased every brand of metallic thread that's on the market, and most of it right now is collecting dust in the bottom of a drawer somewhere in my studio. But the King Star Metallic is one of those threads that is just a no fuss metallic thread. It's one of those that you put it on your machine and you go. There's no tricks. There's no little things that you have to, I always laugh and say, you don't have to go put it upside down in a cup 10 feet away, facing to the south on a windy day. You don't have to do all that. It's literally you put it in your machine and you go. I don't even change my needle to a metallic needle. I just use my regular, I use 7511 needles, and that's what I do all of my sewing with on that. And the only thing I do on mine is I don't run my machine at full speed.
Okay.
That's it. That's the only thing I do. But I do that on any specialty thread. That's just personal preference.
Right.
But I've seen so many people who teach metallic thread, and they're like, "Oh, you've got to wrap it around the thread stand, and you got to do this." And if I've got to do all that, I'm just not going to use it because I'm usually multitasking and I'm usually doing 10 things at one time. And if I can't just let it sew, then I'm not going to, it's not something I'm going to use. But Kingstar has always been great. And I sew big projects with Kingstar. Like I sew, I'll show you in a minute.
I know you're going to show me, but I want to just show them just kind of real quickly some simple things you can do. And I'm going to make this full screen and head over there. But if you get the Patriotic Thread Pack, which is red, white, and silver, and it's free shipping this week, it also comes with this pretty design, which is, you know, a streamer with tiny stars and then a bigger star. But the metallic thread, you know, I use in my charms. We can use it for applique. We can use it for tiny lettering, like our micro lettering. You can use it for freestanding. And last week I showed you in a hoop how it's great for quilting, that it really adds a lovely sparkle to a quilt block. And you'll see last week this was in the hoop, and here it is again, still in the hoop. So I haven't gotten much further, but I'm going to let Mike show his samples because his are really beautiful. So Mike, let's get you back up here, and then you can show us your great stuff, huh?
Sure. So I use metallic a lot. I really do. And I like to combine metallic with other techniques too. So some of the stuff that I'm going to show you is all metallic. Some of it is metallic mixed with polyester thread. Some of it is metallic mixed with just rhinestones, right? I use rhinestones a lot with metallic thread because they complement one another. So you've got the shine of the metallic thread and you've got the shine of the rhinestones. So this is actually the first one I'll show you. This is a quilt, and several of the people that are in the group have already seen this. This is basically, I made it as a wall hanging because I just didn't have all the blocks. This is actually a design that's not my design by any means. It's an Anita Good design, but all of this, everything that you see is stitched with Kingstar. There's no polyester thread in there at all. That's all metallic thread. So every one of these blocks, all 6 of these blocks were stitched using just Kingstar thread, and it's stitched beautifully. And I can honestly say that these were all blocks that I did. Each block was done in one hooping, and each block was done to where I literally loaded up the machine and then walked away and did other things with it. So lots and lots and lots of fun to do little quilt projects like that. I do a lot of, because I do travel and my samples have to travel with me, most of my samples are flat pack samples, meaning that I can break them down to just something that lays flat. So I do a lot of pillows and tabletops and stuff like that. This is one that I did a while back, and it's kind of hard to tell what's metallic and what's not, but that is polyester thread mixed with metallic thread.
Wow.
And yeah, so all of the gears are done with metallic. And then all of like the navy and the light blue and stuff like that is done with polyester thread. So this is actually one of the designs that's built into the Baby Lock Solaris.
Beautiful.
So,
beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's a great masculine design. We don't often get a lot of masculine designs, really. Very nice.
They're harder to find. They really are. But there's a lot out there. You just have to know where to look, I guess.
Yes.
This one is, you know, we see so many traditional Christmas things. And I wanted something that was Christmas that wasn't necessarily traditional Christmas, right? So these cute little sparrows or birds or whatever there is, these are all built into the Baby Lock Solaris. And each one of these are fully stitched with just one color of Kingstar metallic. And kind of as I move it, you'll see the shimmer of the metallic. But then I wanted to fill the white area with something. So I have all these really cool hot fix rhinestones that match the color of the metallic thread. And I did it because how cool is that little Christmas fabric? It's not traditional, right? It's and it just went together so well. The other thing that I'm
gonna stop you just for one second. Renee Bell, she that airplane design, she said, is that Mike's? But no, that's built into the Solaris, right?
It is, yeah. It's actually built into the Baby Lock Solaris. There's 3 designs that kind of have that look. It's a rocket ship, airplane, and I just forgot what the third one is, but there is a third one: a rocket ship, an airplane, and a helicopter. So yeah, they're all in there. They're all pre-built in.
Great.
So this is actually, these 2 pillows I'm about to show now, this was actually something that I did. I was teaching a class, and believe it or not, I taught the class on New Year's Eve. So I had to have something that was New Year's Eve, right? Because I mean, if you're going to teach on New Year's Eve, everything's got to be New Year's. So this was something that came out of necessity. I did not have any really cool New Year's fabric. So this is all done, this here, the side here, this panel is made out of, believe it or not, really cheap Christmas tree decoration ribbon that's been added on. And then this is all done in Kingstar, and so is the Happy New Year. And this is actually, if you look, this little flower and this little flower right here is one repeat. And that's built into the Baby Lock 10 needle, I believe it was. And then what I did was I brought it into my software and I carouseled it around to make my wreath. And so that was mixing my software with my actual embroidery. And then this is kind of the little companion pillow that goes with it. And the same thing, I didn't have any really good New Year's fabric. So the cheers here, this is actually metallic Kingstar thread that I did what's called scatter. There's a scatter function in most software to where I just did the little scatter. And then what's really fun is this is metallic thread right here, but it's on top of monofilament thread. So the glass is actually stitched with monofilament.
Well, as a fill design.
Yeah, as a fill design.
Wow, that's very smart. I've never seen anybody do that before.
Yeah, and it's two colors. It's two colors of monofilament. It's the clear monofilament and the smoke.
And the smoke.
Monofilament.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're really encouraging a lot of people here to look at their designs. Several people have said, okay, now I need to use those designs. But before we jump forward, would you mind answering Glenda's question? She wants to know, do you remember the name of the Anita Good design?
Oh, Miss Glenda, I knew that somebody would ask that. I think it's called, I want to say it's something like Christmas Creatures or something like that. The entire design was all about animals, and then those 6 blocks were just the same blocks that complemented the animals. I didn't really like the animals as far as what I wanted for that quilt, so I didn't stitch the animals. I just stitched the same blocks. But Miss Glenda is part of my group, and Miss Glenda, I know it's somewhere in the group. So if but I'll try to get it to Eileen too, and Eileen can put up and let everybody know what it is. But I think it's Holiday Creatures or something. It's something Creatures.
Oh, well, Jan says Woodlands Christmas.
Woodland Christmas. That's it. That's it. Thank you, Jan.
Yay. That's wonderful. Here, we have to give her a round of applause.
Yeah. Jan's always Johnny on the spot. She's quick to know those things. Jan has also seen that in person, though, so she's seen me talk about it many times.
Yeah, that's great, Mike. Great.
So this is another one of the designs that's in the Solaris. These little cute little feathers.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. So these little things, and those are all completely done with Kingstar Metallic. There's no polyester thread in there at all.
They are stunning. Stunning.
Aren't they fun? Yeah, yes. I love these. And you know, this was one that you were talking about. When you look at them in the machine, that you maybe not like the color that's in the machine. When you see these in the machine, they are all like crazy, crazy colors. Like each feather is a different color set, color scheme, color story. And what I did was I picked 5 Kingstar Metallic colors, and that's it. And I just used them however I felt like it would work in the thing. And then, of course, this is one of those examples to where I just blinged it up with rhinestones to just add to it, right? So you can see it kind of dance there. And then this is I made this one yesterday. So this is one of those to where when I looked at the design of the machine, I thought, God, I'll never stitch that, right? I don't I'm not a fan of the design. But it was so funny as I was sitting there stitching, Mom and I were in the studio, and as I got done, I'm like, I kind of love this. This actually turned out really cool. So it's just the little Oriental kind of dragon that was in this. And this actually has been in the Baby Lock machine since the Destiny 1, I believe it was. But it's in the Destiny 2, and the Solaris. And you can see, of course, because it's my little dragon, I had to bling it up too. So it's completely blinged up. But all of this is Kingstar. And again, it was just, when I looked at the colors in the machine, I didn't like the colors. So I just picked a really limited palette and just kind of stuck with it. And that's what I wound up with.
Yeah. You know, we forget, Mike. Let me see if we can get us both back up on screen. I want to pull some of these out. Hang on a second. Remove that. You know, our machines are made in Japan, so there most certainly is an Asian influence. There is, yeah. All of the embroidery that's in there. And, you know, if we're not attracted to that kind of style, maybe we do pass by it in the design library. But if you take a moment to really look at it, it's so exquisite. I mean, that dragon is magnificent. He's got movement. He's kind of whimsical. And it's really great. I think that would be cool. So cool done on like the back of a denim jacket, or now that I've seen it stitched out, I'm like, oh, let's put it on everything, right? It's kind of, you just
you never know until you stitch it. And I'm a big believer, for those of us who do digitize, like I know you do, Eileen, when we digitize, we have to test stitch everything. And I think that gives us the added leg up of knowing that you never really know what it's going to look like until you sew it.
Right.
And so I think sometimes maybe we encourage ourselves to sew stuff that most people wouldn't sew, and then see what it looks like. Yeah.
And, I think we should really call out, how lucky we are that the quality of the designs that are in the machines, because as a digitizer yourself, and from my point of view, the digitizing, if you are a computer nerd, and I like to be on my computer a lot, and I'm pretty savvy there, I like virtually embroidering, but it's a whole other story when it comes to stitch it out, right?
It is, because you can do something and you're like, oh, I don't know, something like, or you can take the opposite. You sat down and you've digitized and you've been working on a design for, an hour, 2 hours, whatever. Yeah. And let's be honest, we all spend way more time on our designs than what we probably need to begin with. But you sit there and you spend all this time on it and you're just like, oh, this looks great. And then you go and you sew it out and you're like, what was I thinking? That's totally not going to work, So I think that's one of the great things. And kind of going back to the door hangers that you're doing for your free downloads, take a look at what you showed just at the beginning of this video. That was one design,
right?
But none of them look the same. None of them look the same. They all look so different. And that's one of the reasons I love this art form, is because we all put our own spin on it. And we all kind of, I think it was Eleanor who I heard say one time, you can give somebody one block and tell them to go make it. And when they come back, nobody's will look the same. And that's what's so cool about it. I just love that.
It's really great. And I really do look at those doors as kind of a blank canvas.
Absolutely.
I sometimes what I give away would seem almost not complete, but there's intention in that, because I want everyone to stretch their own skills and make it their own. So anyway, that's
I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of give somebody a blank canvas and see what they do with it. Because they'll surprise you. People will surprise you.
Yeah. So here, I'm just going to answer a couple questions. Carol wants to know, is the thread on Mike's site or mine? It's on Dime. So I'll show a slide, I guess, in a little bit. And then Sandy wants to know, is the metallic thread hard for a newbie?
No, Sandy, not at all. Right? Actually, the funny thing is I always tell people that, people get intimidated by certain things because they hear the horror stories, right? They hear, oh, I used a specialty thread, it broke my needle, it did this, it did that, it did that. And I will honestly tell newbies who get the machines, because I'm fortunate enough to get to see a lot of people get their very first machine, right? Yeah. And if that retailer sells Kingstar, that's the first thing I put in their basket. Here you go. Make sure you do that, because it's no different than using just your regular poly thread. If you can use your regular poly thread, you can use the Kingstar metallic.
Yeah. And Kira, like if you're just starting out, man, go for it, because you want your embroidery to be beautiful. And don't hesitate about the metallic. Add all the sparkle that you want, because you got into it because you were intrigued, most likely, and really want to play around. So just start out with that attitude. Now, Rita Ranke just wants to know, what speed do you slow your machine down to? Pardon me.
So this is just personal preference. My rule of thumb is anytime I'm doing anything that's not just my standard poly, I usually slow my machine down to 800, 900, somewhere in there.
900. So, that's not that slow.
No, we actually did. When I first started, I used to think, oh, that's a big difference. And one time I was at a retailer and they're like, let's just do a test. And we had two exact same machines sitting side by side. And we pulled up the exact same design and we ran one at 500 and one at 1,000. And they finished within seconds of one another. I mean, it's literally the amount of time because your machine doesn't run at the fullest speed the whole time anyway. So it's not that big of a difference at all.
That's right. And then, let me see. Oh, Arnell wanted to know, do you use an embroidery needle or metallic? And really, on Kingstar metallic thread, I select the needle for the fabric, not the thread.
Same here. Absolutely. Same. So I'm just using a regular embroidery needle, and I'm either using the ballpoint, the semi-ball, or the sharp, depending on what fabric I'm using, but I just use a regular embroidery needle.
Good. Okay. Do you have more samples? I know I interrupted you.
No, I think we went through all of them.
That was it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that
But
was
they
it.
were exquisite, right? We have people from all over the country. You know, we have somebody from Alabama who is your neighbor for sure.
Yeah.
And then lots of people, Mary Lee, saying thank you. And oh, here's someone who has already bought it from a dealer from Mid-South in Knoxville, Tennessee, and she loved it. Not one kink, and embroidered so beautifully. Yeah, it is really amazing how that, and the reason is it's made in Japan, speaking of Asia, and it has a rice paper core. So it doesn't really have a metallic core. That rice paper is very flexible, and that's why you don't get the kinking. Yep.
Well, I'll tell you one of the other things that I really like about it, and I don't know if you've had this experience, Eileen, but some metallic thread, when you use it, if you can successfully use it, once you iron it, like you do a project, you iron it, it almost flakes off.
Yes.
Some things. And I've never had that happen with Kingstar. So, I mean, there's just so many good things. And I don't think it doesn't stiffen up your project.
No,
crazy,
it's very fluid.
It's very fluid. Yeah.
It's, in my mind, if I do a fill with that metallic and a fill with a 40 weight, I get the same drapeability.
Yeah,
I
would agree.
Any of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree wholeheartedly.
Which is important. Yeah. I'm all about
that.
I live in knits, and I really don't want any stiff fabric.
This is like my standard uniform. It's just a knit polo. I'm like, this is it. Don't expect me to be dressed up. I did that in the military. I'm not doing it now.
Well, we have to give a shout out to Jennifer Burgess from Southern Ireland. Wow, welcome!
That is awesome. Hi, Jennifer.
Yeah.
We'll have to go visit her once we can travel again.
Right? Yeah. Now, Mike has, not been on the road. Your last event was it February or January?
It was February, yeah.
February, yeah. So, wow, that's a long time. I know you miss being out there with people, but you are connecting with people on your Facebook group, which is great. And, I know that you'll continue to do that because all these people are so happy to see you. And so am I. It's been great to visit with you.
Yeah, so good to see. I know you do too. I miss seeing people in person, and I miss being out in these classrooms, because if you guys don't know it, you guys inspire us as much as hopefully we inspire you. And that's just one of the things that I love about it, is that you learn. I mean, how many tricks and tips do you learn when you're in a group of people? It's just like I sit there and I'm like, oh, I never thought of that. And then all of a sudden you go home and try it, and you're like, that's genius. That's brilliant. So I miss those, and I'm looking forward to when we're back to it. But, for now, I feel very lucky that I can connect to people online. Right.
Right. So, Retha wants you to come to Wyoming.
I would love to come to Wyoming, Retha. You tell a retailer out there to call me, and I will put them on my schedule for sure.
That's right. Beautiful part of our country. Yes. And then Linda Brown wants to know, will Kingstar ever add a white translucent color? Ooh. Yes, it will. I can't tell you when. It's going to be a while, but it is in development now, and it's going to be white. It's not going to be translucent. It's a beautiful white shimmer, and we're also going to have a black, and then one other color. Remember what I told you, Mike?
I do, purple. Right?
Yeah. So we're super excited. We are really excited. But, just look here. We'll announce it when it arrives. It'll be probably another 90 days. Takes a while. But the minute it's in the building, we will let you know.
But I do want to encourage everybody too, Eileen, though, don't get hung up on the fact that you only have so many colors, right? I mean, if you look at all those samples that I just showed you, there's only so many colors, but could you really tell me that from looking at the samples? I mean, those colors that you've got available to you, and don't be afraid to layer your metallics. You can stitch metallic on top of metallic and get some really cool effects. So and
you can add metallic on top of poly.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I've actually done the reverse of that. I wish I had the sample with me. I don't have it with me, but for those who don't know, I'm not at home right now. I live out in the middle of the country, so I don't have great internet. So I had to drive to a friend's house just to get on the internet to do this. But I did one where I took the metallic and put it down as a fill, and then took poly and did a really light mesh on top of it so that it kind of just sparkles through the holes in the poly, which is a really cool effect. Yeah.
Lovely, lovely. So if you could see all these comments, Mike,
I am seeing them, and I'm loving them.
Start packing now, because they want you to come to Pennsylvania, Wyoming, Washington State, Fresno, somebody else in Washington State. So, you know, the
Well,
minute.
some of those I can actually say I am coming to. So
Yeah,
Fresno, I'll be
right.
in Fresno later this year. I'll be in Pennsylvania later this year. If
Good.
they want to see where I am, they can go. It's on the website. It's on my website, so they can see it on
Right.
the website and see exactly where I'm going to be.
And so you'll see the ticker below his name here. We have Mike Johns, mamasboydesign.com takes you right to your page, right?
Correct. Yeah. And the only catch is make sure you spell mamas the way that I do, MAMAS, because people come up with some interesting ways to spell mama. So yeah.
Oh, and of course, Judy Warren wants to know if you're coming to Hawaii.
Judy, if you'll have me, I'll come tomorrow. When do I get to be there?
Right.
I've never been to Hawaii. That's one of the very few states I've never been.
Well, here's the thing. I'll tell you a secret in the sewing industry. We all want to go to Hawaii, but when a company sends you to Hawaii to work, you work nonstop because it's so expensive to get there. And then when you get back on the plane, you're like, was I in Hawaii? Right?
Well, my problem too is that I'm all the way on the East Coast. So for me to get anywhere past, I'm very lucky. I've got some retailers out in California who I've got great relationships with. So I get to go to California pretty regularly, but that's, it's really, I don't know. It's kind of hard to get out there sometimes just because of the cost alone,
Oh, absolutely. And the shipping, there's lots of challenges, but
absolutely.
we know that embroidery and sewing and quilting are alive and well in Hawaii. And there are two dealers out there that I think are doing a fabulous job. I know they continue to inspire all of the baby lock lovers. So
yes,
that's
exactly.
Really great for sure.
Yeah.
So Jeanette wants you, Sue Cleek says that she's grateful you have come to a Scarlet Thread.
Yeah.
And I forget who it was. When in Fresno, how about swinging down to San Diego? It's not that easy. Right.
Eileen, I miss Eileen Shaw. I used to live in San Diego. That's actually the
is that right?
Yeah, that's where I lived whenever I got out of the military. I was actually stationed in San Diego.
Yeah. I lived in San Diego 1 year for 1 year.
Did you really? Just 1 year?
I did an internship at the University of San Diego up on the hill.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was
I lived in where did I live? I lived in Admiral Beedenbow Park.
Oh.
I don't know why I can remember that, but I can't. I lived in Mission Valley, so I love San Diego.
Yeah.
And I was in San Diego last year. I came and did an event at one of the stores there in San Diego. So I love San Diego. San Diego's awesome.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful part of our country. Let's see. Oh, but Isabel Briand says France is closer than Hawaii, so go to France first. And she's right.
I'm all about that, Isabel. Let's go.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
I actually have been very lucky. I've been to France several times, and I love France. I'd go back to France in a heartbit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Mm-hmm. So, well, Mike, I want to thank you for your time today. It's always a pleasure to visit with you. And clearly, everybody loves chatting with you. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye, everybody. It's been a wonderful time.
Yeah. Bye, Mike. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Stay well, everyone. Bye.